Maine rental laws outline the rules in the state regarding lease agreements and eviction. We'll examine the laws for standard lease agreements, month-to-month lease agreements, and evictions. Standard lease agreement. A standard lease outlines the terms between a landlord and tenant for the renting of property. A standard lease is commonly a one-year fixed period and is the most widely used rental contract. Month-to-month lease. A month-to-month lease is an agreement between a landlord and tenant that renews automatically every month and terminates upon notice by either party. In Maine, the notice must be provided by the landlord or tenant a minimum of 30 days prior to termination as required by law. Required disclosures. In Maine, the landlord is required to provide the following disclosures as part of the lease agreement. Bed bugs. If the unit or adjacent unit is being treated for or currently has bed bugs, the tenant must be notified in writing. Electricity in common areas. The landlord may not bill the tenant for electricity or any utilities in common areas unless the tenant agrees to do so. Energy efficiency disclosure. This form must be completed by the landlord and signed by the tenant. Radon disclosure. Landlords are required to provide all tenants with this form, which notifies the tenant if radon gas has been or is present on the property. Security deposit location. The landlord must provide the tenant with the bank name and account number where their security funds are held. Smoking policy. The landlord must state the smoking policy on the property. Landlord access. In Maine, the landlord must give tenants a minimum of 24 hours notice before entering the property for repairs or other non-emergency reasons. Security deposit laws. In Maine, the landlord can charge a maximum of 2 months security. If the lease was fixed, the money must be returned within 30 days after termination. If the lease was a month-to-month lease, the landlord has 21 days to return the funds. Eviction laws. There are 2 legally accepted causes for eviction in Maine. Non-payment of rent. If the tenant is late on rent, the landlord can issue a 7-day notice to pay or quit. This gives the tenant 7 days to pay the rent in full, along with any penalties, or vacate the property. If they do neither, the landlord may be forced to seek an eviction from the court. Non-compliance. If the tenant breaks any portion of the lease other than late rent, the landlord may give the tenant 7 days to either comply with the lease or vacate the property.